All right. Welcome to our spiritual lunch hour. How are we feeling? We haven't been together in so long. How is life? Tell me all the things. What do I need to know? How is everything moving? I'm very happy to be with you guys. I'm excited to share with you some of these new understandings that I've come into that I think will be helpful for you. How was the new moon for you? Holy everything. So, if you don't know, the new moon in Leo was on the 16th, which was 2 days ago. We're still in that orb of energy. So, you might still be feeling some stuff. I am still feeling some stuff. I felt a lot on the day of the 16th. And since then, it's slowly been kind of morphing into more energy, but I'm still quite tired today. So I have this today. I have a call with one of my good friends and retreat co-leader, Brooke. And then I'm complete for the day. Praise the Jesus. We're going to dive in today to some really fun, juicy topics. We're going to be talking about your thoughts and your feelings and how they relate to creating your reality. Now, this is not something that's new so far as the topic, but I am going to share with you guys some new understandings that I've come into that might just click it in for you in a different way. I know it did me. So, with all of these things that we talk about inside of here, that we talk about inside the spirituality concepts and the inner work and the personal development, you create your own reality. It's always kind of coming to us in layers. Amen. And I have this conversation with my spirit guides all the time. I'm like, why can't you just tell me straight out? Like, what's with the metaphors? Like, have you ever had dreams that are just full of metaphors? And you're like, can you not do that? Can you just like tell it to me? And what I have received about this as to why we get it in small doses in these 1 millimeter shifts, and as to why we get them in metaphors, is because even when we're told something straight out, even when we're given the sign right in front of our face, even when we hear the message clear as day, we're not always ready to receive it. So, spirit is always trying to speak to us in whatever way we will listen. And that may come through in a multitude of different ways. Amen. It could come through other people being a part of one of these conversations in these teaching containers. It could be something in a show you're watching that all of a sudden it just clicks it in. You're like, oh my God, I get it. It could be just observing nature. And then suddenly you have this deep, profound understanding about how all things of the universe work. Could be from a book, could be from a masterclass, could be from YouTube. Whatever it is, we are always in a space of our spirit is always trying to communicate to us in whatever way we will receive it. And a lot of times outright is not the best way. In truth, it's not always the best way. I think about it a lot. Like I have a very clear channel with my spirit guides, like can be in like straight up conversation. And I still question it, because we're human and we're like, wait, am I really hearing the truth right now? Or am I just crazy? I don't really know. But I have received far too many profound truths and evidence and things that have worked out in such miraculous ways that it's a ridiculous thought for me to doubt, truly. And it's also why I'm such a fan of this work. I'm such a fan of what I do, because as I am teaching, as I'm speaking, I know that there's things in there for me too, because so especially when being in the position I am, where I can kind of open the channel and speak to you guys through the pictures and the words that I'm receiving, a lot of that stuff that comes through is this higher knowledge. So sometimes I'll go back and listen and I'm like, oh, I see. You see what I'm saying? So it's always coming through for us on some level. Yes, it's for our people, but there's also some things in there for us. And we're always getting it at a new level. You know what I mean? There's always just that like next layer and that next layer. And we think that we want it all at once. right? We're like, just give it to me. I want it all. Oh Lord. But then we get what? Like we get maybe like an ounce of it and we're like, it's too much. I can't handle it. It's like I think about this past new moon. Let me know if how this new moon was for you guys. It was challenging to my system. All good things. I know I needed it. It was big upgrades that were coming through. Yet I felt a lot, like a lot. And so if you can imagine how much you feel when you just get a little bit, like a little bit, you didn't get everything, you just got a little bit. And that was taxing on your system. There's no way we can handle it all at once, right? Our systems in themselves are not prepared for that. So we do our baby steps. We call it enough. We know that we're going to get there one way or the other. And we continuously do the work to be prepared, to be ready. You guys know, especially those of you who have been in my containers, we talk about preparation all the time. Preparation is the key ingredient because you're always preparing for something. This is going to lead beautifully into what we're talking about today. You're always preparing for something, period. And you can know what you're preparing for by the thoughts that you're thinking on a consistent basis. So let's think about this. You know what you want, but what are you thinking about on a constant basis? Are you thinking about the worst case scenario and then you're preparing for what you're going to do if it's not going to work? We got to catch ourselves, right? So we're going to dive in. In terms of preparation, I want to make this point really, really clear because this in itself could be super life-changing for you. You are always preparing for what you want. Most humans, but we are not most humans, amen. That's not who we're going to be. Most humans are preparing for things they don't want. Most humans are waiting to start preparation until they see what they want. Now, there's no shame in our game. It's part of being human, and it's part of learning, and it's part of, the expansion of where we're going and what we've got to get. But I want you to really get raw and honest with yourself. Getting raw and honest is one of the best things that you can do for your spiritual growth. Now, I don't mean like self-deprecating, like that's not what I mean. I mean like really honestly look at the things that you're actually thinking. I always love to give this example because it's super, super clear. If you're a coach like me and you have an upcoming program, are you thinking about that program being filled with the most amazing, miracle-filled, incredible humans? Are you thinking about that program being sold out? Are you thinking about all the things you need to prepare for all the people that are coming in? Are you thinking that? Or are you going, oh, fuck, what if only one person joins? What if oh my God, what am I going to do if nobody joins it? Oh God, what am I? And then you're going in your head, what are you preparing for? You always get what you're preparing for. So the real question becomes, why am I not preparing for what I want? What part of me is not truly believing that this is possible? Now we're getting somewhere juicy, right? Now we're getting somewhere that's actually going to create a forward movement. If I am not easily preparing for what I want, then that shows me I have a belief in place that believes this is not possible. That's the stuff I got to look at. That's the thing that's actually going to move the needle. You want to always, this is your, you know what? I'm going to read it to you straight from my phone because I just wrote this down. You want to always be looking at how to shift the energy. 1 second, let me find it. Here we go. Your goal is always to shift the energy. Always. Like you may not know what to do in the physical world. Like you may not know the action to take, right? You might be at your wit's end with what to do. But if you can shift the energy, then that will cause you to see it in a different way. And then you will know what to do. What? That will cause you. So we want to look at the energy that's underneath. If I'm not naturally preparing for what I want, then that tells me automatically I have a belief system in place that says it's not going to work anyway. That's what I got to look at. Why do I believe that? Is that actually true? Is there a wound here that's really asking for my light on it, for my bring it up to the surface, for my acceptance, my love, my forgiveness? Is there something here that's asking for me to really look at? Because in our perfect universe, everything is working exactly how it's supposed to work. Meaning, if the loud voice and energy is saying, it's not going to work, you're not good enough, blah, 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 all that stuff, there's no willpowering your way out of that. I know most teachers won't tell you that. Most teachers won't say that, like, just think positive thoughts. But the truth of the matter is, I don't believe in willpower. Willpower has its place, but it's for sprints, not marathons. Willpower is like, get your ass out of bed on time. That's it. That's the only place willpower needs to live. Otherwise, we need to be looking at, why is my natural state not in congruence with what I want? Oh, that's the best way I could have said that. Why is my natural state not in congruence with what I want? Oh, that gives me chills. That's what we've got to start looking at. So I've got to start looking at and saying, okay, why am I believing this? Now, I'm going to give you this step, and I've never said this before, not in this way. I'm going to give you this step, and if you can really receive it right now, it's going to change the game for you. When you identify that part of you that is not in congruence with what you want, it's not believing in the same direction of what your soul is calling you to. Here's what we do. I love and accept the part of me that believes that's true. Oh, did you feel it? I love and accept the part of me that believes that's true. Do you see how automatically that puts you on the side of truth, which is soul? You know that it's not true. And you're bringing love and acceptance to the part of you that has been hurt in some way and is believing a non-truth. I accept you even though you believe this non-truth. I know it's not true. Do you see how it automatically identifies you with truth? It puts you on that team, the team that knows, the soul team, the part of you that's like, let's go. We know what we're here for. I can come from that part of me to say, I love and accept the part of me that believes that's true. I'm so sorry you believe that's true. And that allows that part of you to relax. Everything is looking for acceptance and love. I mean, write it down, tattoo it, like where you can see it and read it every day. You know how many different times I think about getting a tattoo right here with the phrases that I need to be reminded of. But then I'm like, oh my God, I would end up being a scrapbook. Like everything would be tattooed. Everything is just looking for love and acceptance from us. So the wounds are looking for your love and acceptance. The parts of you that are insecure or feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't know that I can do this. The parts of you that are tired, like, Lord, I'm going to answer your question, Des, too. I felt like, you know how the phoenix, when it drags itself to the fire, is like falling apart. It's like so exhausted, it can barely walk. Its feathers are coming out like before it throws itself into the fire. And then once it goes into the fire, it's reborn into its power. That is how I felt on the full moon. I mean, the new moon. I was like, where's my fire? Because I need it. It was truly, actually, it was the day before the full or the new moon that I was feeling that way. Just exhausted, tired, done, and the kind of feeling where you're like, I know this is a temporary thing. Obviously I'm not destined to feel like this the rest of my life, but it's just like, you're just looking for like, give me the flame to like reset. And truly I did. And it is so fun. And this is what's cool about you guys being in here and being live. You get to know this stuff. I had released a podcast that I think it was that day. It was the night of the 15th. And then I sent out an email, the morning of the 16th. And it was from a live that we did in here called Breakdown to Breakthrough. I released a podcast called Breakdown to Breakthrough. And then on the day of the new moon, I had a full breakdown, like full breakdown. Like, when you cry so hard that you can't remember the last time you cried that hard, like I was emotionally hungover the next day. But here's the thing, and here's what I want to really like iterate to you guys. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good with that. That was necessary. That needed to come out. I don't make that mean something about who I am. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I knew, and it felt good when I was doing it. You know, like you're wallowing in your own self-pity while you're doing it, but it's almost like necessary because you need that shit to come out, right? You need those things to just pour out of you. So I allow myself to have those breakdowns and not carry meaning into the next day. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, let it, that's energy moving. And again, your goal is to shift the energy. That's energy moving out of the body. Where's the root of it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. Get it out. Let it flow. So the irony of it was that I just posted a podcast called Breakdown to Breakthrough and then immediately had a breakdown, which is fantastic. All right, let's see some of these comments before I move on. Okay, so would you say that was like a mini death for a rebirth? 100%. 100%. I may have a belief that is holding me back despite the universe telling me it's my destiny. Yes, 100% you do. I mean, I'm not just saying that because like I personally know you. That's how it works. The moment that we have a soul desire, I can guarantee you it's going to surface up beliefs that are contradictory to it because our soul doesn't come up with desires that don't require growth. Do you guys hear that? Oh, our soul does not come up with desires that do not require growth because your soul is here for growth, period. And the only place that you're not going to grow is in repeating the past. And your soul ain't about that. Amen. Your soul is like, oh, hell no, we're not doing a loop. No, we're going to keep going. Right? Your soul is about growth. So all of the things that you desire, all the things that you want to have for your life are going to drag you through your belief systems that have been holding you back. It's on purpose. It's the mechanism of the universe. That's how your growth comes to be. We don't naturally step into the unknown. You know what I mean? Like we don't naturally go straight to our discomfort. It is the will of it. Well, I guess this is a better way to say it. It's that pull of your soul for the desires that you want to have that pulls you through doing that growth work. You know what I mean? And that's why our desires are so sacred because we wouldn't do it otherwise. We would stay in the comfort zone because that's like comfortable until it's not. But you know what I mean? Like it's comfortable. So that pull of, I just know there's something more. I just can see this vision so clearly. I just have to do this is going to pull you out of that comfort zone. It's going to make you face all of those belief systems because that's your growth. And that's just what it is. I love and accept the part of me that believes this. Our wounds are looking for our love and acceptance. 100%. 100%. Taylor said, how do you differ the truth from the circumstances if the things keep happening, even though you're changing the thinking? So if you have a repeating circumstance, that repeating circumstance is trying to get your attention because it has some sort of lesson for you. So to try and willpower your thinking to just think better thoughts is almost futile because there's still a root where that situation is trying to show you like, no, you need something in this. Like you need this lesson, you need to see this. And the only way that you're going to be able to transmute it is to like stop trying to run away from it, which a lot of times is what our willpower positive thinking is, right? We're trying to just like get the fuck out of that situation. We're like, okay, just think happy thoughts and it'll change. Think happy thoughts and it'll change. But what we don't realize is when we're doing that, even though we might be making the right move, we're making it in the wrong energy because it's fear-based. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to willpower change my thoughts to positive thinking, but it's based in a fear energy of trying to get rid of this situation, right? So what I would do in any repeating circumstance is like, do you know the statue in New York City of the girl that's facing the bull? Like those vibes, like the little girl that just like stares the bull straight in the eye. It's the stop everything and look the situation straight in the eye and say, okay, I'm available. What do you have for me? What do you need me to see? What do you need me to understand? What have I been running from? What have I been hiding from? I am willing to see it. I'm willing to be exposed to it. And the beautiful thing is that the moment that you get the lesson, it dissipates. The whole situation goes away. But that's where our courage comes in. And that's where our, like, we have to be willing to be uncomfortable in that facing of ourselves in order to transcend it, right? That's the other, like, acceptance is transcendence. I'm going to make a whole post on this, but acceptance is transcendence, because the moment that I can accept the situation rather than trying to get out of the situation, I've stopped fighting it. I've stopped resisting it. And then I go into surrender and I can actually see what it has for me. Remembering that all things have something for you to come into greater power and greater love. All things, even the shittiest of situations, has something for you to come into greater power and greater love. Which leads me to the next understanding that I've come into very recently, and it has just like opened my whole world. So those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that my belief system is that our soul comes and chooses how our life plan kind of goes. We have willpower in the sense that we have the ability to choose how we show up to what life throws at us. Now, this part I heard on a podcast, and my whole brain went, hang on a second, hold up. Like, it was one of those big, huge aha click moments. This girl said she believes, and as I heard it, it clicked so hard for me. I know that it's true, but, you know, again, take what lands on you as truth, throw out the rest. That pre-life planning, so like your soul and your soul team, like your guides that are like hanging out with you, making sure things go according to plan the events that are going to cause your awakening. Okay. Let's unpack that. Our life journey, we come here, we got all this karma on ourselves from whatever. You layer up with conditionings, meaning like the belief systems of your family and society and who you are told you are and all of that stuff, right? And then the majority of us have a moment where something happens that wakes us up. Now, because we're human, for most of us, that is a shit circumstance that usually ends up doing it. Amen. I know, we're stubborn. It's just what it is. It's usually some sort of situation that is so frustratingly sufferable that it wakes us up and says, I don't care. I don't know why this is happening, but I don't want to do it anymore. And it wakes us out of our sleeping state. And then we start on that spiritual journey of taking the layers off. So this is that journey where we start going and saying, actually, I don't know if I do believe that. Oh my God, that's my mom's voice in my head, not my own. Wait a minute. Why do I believe that everybody has to work hard for money? Is that really true? Maybe that's not true. We start taking off the layers. So these events, these circumstances that we run up against and are hard, challenging, have our ego going, what the fuck, right? Why am I having to go through this? Why am I being faced with such like, ugh, we feel victimized by life? Those kind of circumstances are planned by your soul and your soul team to get you to wake up. They are your spiritual awakening events. This just clicked so hard for me. And it really helped me to then take this to the next level, which is, let's think about this. I see it as you have your soul and you have your ego, your identity, right? So there's soul me, which is not Marli. It's like the light, right? It's the light that is me that fills this personality, Marli. And then I have the personality, Marli, which is my identity or my ego. Whatever, you see what I'm saying? Two sides cooperating together. Ego typically is like fear-based, victimized, things are happening to me, I want to blame, like all of that stuff is the domain of the ego. Soul is like, we chose this, we got this, we're badasses, we know we can handle this, let's rise up, let's do what we came here to do, right? So you have those two sides operating inside of you, and you can tap into them. You know it right away. You've got that part of you that's like solid, strong, badass. And then you've got the part of you that's like, I don't really know what's going on, right? You've got both of them. Typically, we're more identified with the ego until we hit this point of spiritual awakening. And then we start to strengthen this side of us. We start to identify more with this side of us. So it gave me this aha moment after hearing that. Then I was journaling about it and I was like, hold up a minute. If my soul chose all of these things that I have gone through, that I am going through, all of that stuff, then couldn't I just identify more with the side that chose it? You follow? Couldn't I just because I'm picturing soul me. You know what I mean? Like I'm picturing soul me before I ever came into this lifetime that's like all excited about the circumstances and the events and being like, oh, we're going to have that happen. And that's going to like really wake me up. But I want it to happen like this, this, and this, and with this person. So that then it's like, I can have that, and then I can be here, and then boom. And then I'm stepping into the role of what I came here to be. I'm picturing soul me planning out all of this life stuff, right? So I had this moment where I was like, couldn't I just identify more with her? Couldn't I just identify more with my truth, but just identify with the version of me, soul me, who chose this because she knows I got it. Versus identifying with the ego part of me that feels victimized by life and is just waiting on any kind of like shit circumstance to be over. Do you feel the difference in that? Couldn't I just identify with the badass that knows I chose all of this and can handle it, rather than the like, oh my God, when is this going to be over? Just live over here. I can choose that. It was a huge, just awakening moment that really, really took me to a whole new level. Okay. So there's minimum 2 more things that I know I want to cover with you guys. So one of the first things is I've been really exploring this. Do we truly get to have what we want? You know what I mean? Like because we hear it in the like create your own reality, all of these things. And I've been really just exploring this. Like, is it true? Is it really true that we get to have what we want? And here's what I've come into a very deep understanding with, and let me know if it falls on you as truth. There are desires. Like we're human, so we like to label things, right? So we're going to go with the labels. There's desires. And there are a certain frequency of desires, meaning like it's the things that when you think about it, just lights your whole soul, like your desires, like, oh, I just love like this, 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 and this. And when you picture it and you envision it in your mind, your whole body lights up. Those are what I call joyful desires. Those I believe are the things that are in alignment with God, in alignment with your soul contract, in alignment with why you're here. But then, because we're human, we have egos, we have what I call wounded wants. And wounded wants are those things that we want because we would feel better in having it. Meaning we would feel valid, we would feel enough, we would feel like we're worthy. It's the stuff that we feel like we have to have in order to. You feel the difference? So what I've come to understand in this question, do we really get to have whatever we want, right? Because I think the thing that happens is like, but I want this. And it's like, well, what is the energy that you're coming from with that? Is it truly a joyful desire? Or is it a wounded want? An example, say, you've had a lot of lessons around like relationships and you want a romantic partnership. You want this guy who's going to love you and it's going to be amazing. Like you want the boyfriend or you want the husband or whatever it is. If that is like, I want that so that I feel loved, that's a wound. That's not a joyful desire. That's a wound. You feel the difference? So what we've got to do is say, okay, identify them. Don't make it wrong. Identify joyful desire versus wounded want. The joyful desires are just going to light your whole soul. There's not going to be what I call negative yearning. You guys know what I mean when I say negative yearning? Negative yearning is like, I want it so bad it hurts. Like, and then you fear not getting it the second you want it, right? So anything with negative yearning is going to fall into that category of a wounded want. It's not a bad thing. We're going to break it down. But it's good to separate them to see joyful desires, wounded wants. Joyful desires is like, it's flow. It's alignment. God is like, let's go. It's a yes. Like, let's create it. It's beautiful. The wounded wants are the things that are like graspy. They're like, oh God, I need it to happen like now. I need it to happen now. And it's painful. That's not happening yet. You with me? So in your list of wounded wants, you want to identify it. And then you want to say like, okay, why do I want this so much? What's underneath all of this? And what do I actually need here? Because a wounded want is a place that has a wound. And what do we know about wounds? Wounds need to come to the surface to be accepted and loved and allowed a place to heal so that then the things that you want can just pop on over to joyful desires. So you see how this is like a negative vibration. This is like a positive vibration. This is expansive. This is contracting. So we want to be able to separate these things and then just start breaking it down, because this is the stuff that you are supported in walking out. It's like the joyful desires is your job to start walking that out. Like that's that, like, let's go. Just start making the moves towards them. You will be supported in these things coming to full manifestation. But the wounded wants are the things you need to sit down, like make your ass sit down and do some healing work. So this is like your behind the scenes. This is my personal healing that's got to happen. And this is the stuff that everything in the universe, God, angels, universe is asking you to start taking steps towards. Does this click? Because this is big. So when you can see it like that, then yeah, you do get to have everything that you want, but you got to check the energy behind it. Because so long as I need $1 million to feel worthy, it's going to hang out in the wound. It's not going to manifest. The wound is going to get bigger. Do you see what I'm saying? Because the wound is asking for you to look at it, accept it, love it, bring that healing in for it to be able to transmute. Once it's transmuted, it will move to this joyful desire category, which feels like it's all good. It's all good. All I got to do is take steps. I know it's going to happen. I don't need it tomorrow. Do you see the difference? So these are like these huge just unfoldings that have been coming together for me in a whole new way. And you guys know I just want to share with you everything that I know and learn. And hopefully it resonates for you and it hits in a way that maybe it didn't hit before, because we're all in this together. Amen. We're all in this together. We're all moving through our own shit. We all have our certain areas where all of our lessons are. That's just where it is. You can look on your astrology chart and you can see on your chart the places where there's a cluster of planets. That's probably where most of your lessons are falling. An example, I have no planets. I'm looking at my chart. I have no planets in the 7th house of partnership, which is like your one-on-one relationships. There's no planets there. My husband has like 8 planets in there. All of his lessons, all of his growth comes through his one-on-one relationships. So it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have things that I learn about relationships. It just means it's not a point of focus for me. And it truly hasn't been. I've had my fair share of shit relationships. Now I'm in the most beautiful marriage that I didn't ever even know was possible. But it's not ever been like a point of focus for me. You know what I mean? So like some people go through life and finding love is like the only thing that matters to them. That was not really a thought for me in my life. I was much more focused on my career and the impact I can make and what I'm here to do for fulfilling my purpose. Like that was my, that is my, not even was, but that is my, like, that's where I'm focused. So everybody's got their section of life where they're going to have the majority of their lessons, the majority of their growth. If you are looking at someone else and going, ugh, why does it always work out for her in that area and it's not working out for you in that area? Trust that the person who you're watching, who maybe has no issues in the relationship field, has her own area of lessons. You know what I mean? It's just not the same as yours. We're all here to grow and to learn and to explore, and we choose the areas of life that we're most going to get what we need. So we just got to come to this place of like acceptance with that, right? I know it's not easy. I know. Okay. There's one more thing for sure that I want to cover. Yeah, that's it. Just one more thing. So last night, like this is fresh. Last night, Robert and I were in bed and he's reading one of the Joe Dispenza books. I can't remember which one, but he's reading one of the Joe Dispenza books and he reads me this one page, which I love. Anybody who wants to just read to me personal development is like my love language. Read it to me. So he reads to me this one page. I don't remember everything he said, so I'm not going to go there, but I am going to tell you what I got out of it. It was about visualizing. And it was talking about this study they did where they had like 50% of the people in the study actually practice the piano and do this like sequence of playing the piano with one hand. And then they had the other half of the people play it in their mind and not actually practice it on the piano, like just play it in their mind over and over and over again. When they went to measure the brains of what happened after, both parties had the exact same parts of the brain develop that controlled those movements. So the actual doing of it created brain connections for that movement. The visualizing of it without actually doing it created brain connections for that movement. This is what this totally unlocked for me. Visualization, which to me in the manifestation world has always been a little like, I don't know what the word I'm looking like airy fairy, like does it work? Does it not work? I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like just visualizing what you want. I didn't understand the mechanism behind it. This explained to me the actual biological science that's happening in your body behind manifestation. So in my program, the Spiritual Coach Training Program, we talk about the layers of identity and how you manifest your reality. And we walk through each layer of healing and shifting the energy blocks and how your thoughts and your feelings correlate to then create the actions you take to then create the results which change your identity or solidify your identity. Like we walk through all of these steps and layers. This understanding helped me to put the actual brain activity that's happening alongside those energy shifts. So when you visualize something, what's happening is your brain is creating connections so that when you take the actions, it's not out of ordinary. It's not out of congruence. It's like in flow, because you've already done it in your brain. So think about this. The people who practiced did the like, and created these connections. The people who didn't practice, but just visualized doing it, created the connections. So now they can go to a piano and just without having that learning curve moment. You know what I mean? Like we call it FFT in my world. Like the first fucking time you do something, it's awful. It's terrible. It's really hard. Because they visualized it and had the brain connections already in place, the action was easy. The action was natural. Are we following? So visualization, and this goes all the way back to the beginning of what we were talking about today, preparation, visualizing what it is that you want to do, visualizing the result that you want is creating brain synapses, connections that are preparing you to take that action with ease. Like if I had a mic. Is that not incredible? So now it's like, oh shit, okay, visualization has some like real science behind it. It's not just this like happy, positive thinking manifestation thing. There is like some concrete science behind it. So now in the spiritual coach training program, Desi said, I love the spiritual coach training program. If you're thinking about it, I definitely recommend. Please, please, please. If you are a coach, let's just like shameless insert here. If you're a coach, you need this program. And I'm not just saying that because that's my program and I think it's amazing. This is the foundations of how to coach through transformation. There's a lot of people out there who truly, truly want to help people and have no idea what they're doing. And there's no shame in their game. I'm not saying anybody's a bad person, but what I am saying is get trained, get trained, get trained, get trained so that you know how to coach people through true transformation. And this program is so in depth and it is so beautifully laid out. When you graduate from it, you're going to have all of the pieces and layers that you can apply to your coaching business. Get this, no matter what your niche is. Because it's the foundation. It's the underneath of everything. It's the subconscious and the energetics and the identity. It's so beautiful. So we're in pre-enrollment for it right now. If you are interested in the details, just send me a message. So when we're talking about the visualization, it's now not just some like airy-fairy, like think good thoughts thing. The more you visualize what you want, the more your brain is getting ready to actually take those actions. So then when you go to take those actions, it will feel natural. Have you ever had like where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, like I'm gonna go live or I'm gonna start that fitness routine or whatever it is. And then when you go to do it, there's just sort of this feeling of like, ugh. It's like you have all this gusto and you want to do it, but then it's just like, ugh, because those brain connections have not been made yet. And then we shame ourselves and we're like, I'm just not good enough and like all of that stuff. But truly, that has nothing to do with it. By the way, guys, everybody in the world has the not enough thing. Okay. Like everybody in the world has it. So every time that you feel not enough, you can just give yourself a little pat on the back and be like, all right, me and everybody else in the world. So now what? There's a science behind this that is just so fascinating and exciting to me that the more I visualize what I want, the more I am naturally going to take those actions towards it. It's as simple as that. How beautiful is that? So in the spiritual coach training program, the way that I've taught it is that your actions cannot be out of alignment with your beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and energy. It just can't. It's how it works. And everything comes back to the foundation of your identity, which is who you believe you are and what you believe the world is for you. So everything comes back to this foundation of who I believe I am. So let's think about this. If I can start visualizing in my mind the version of me that I see, that I want to be, that I want to like step into, we all have that like higher self image in our heads of like who I want to be. The more I can visualize that, think about this, what I'm doing. I'm setting up neural connections to prepare me for being and doing and operating as that version of me. Just through visualization, just through making yourself sit on your meditation spot and just think about it for a minute. Now, I think, and you let me know if this is true for you, that the thing that comes up is the downshift in energy. It's like you're thinking about who you want to be, and then the wounds pop up. And they're like, but you're this, and but you're dealing with that, and you have this situation. That version of you would never have this situation. Okay, let's calm down. That is with purpose. That's where you go into that. I love and accept the part of me that believes that's true. I love I love and accept the part of me that believes I can't be who I see myself being because of this. I love and accept the part of me that feels this pain right now. I love and accept the part of me. And then you allow that to come up all the way. I'm going to tell you right now, the more that you can intentionally bring forth these wounds, the easier your life is going to be. It's tough when we suppress them, because even a suppressed wound is still creating your reality. That's kind of scary to think about, but it's true. So the more that we can proactively do the work, which this is the work, this is what the spiritual world calls the shadow work, the more we can proactively bring up that stuff, the stuff that's like, oh, it doesn't feel good, or it has these like nasty words about ourselves, or these thoughts that you're not allowed to have what you want. Bring them up, love and acceptance, get curious about it. Just get curious about it. Start exploring it and allowing it to come up and out. One of the things that we teach in the spiritual coach training program is actually moving that energy. And I teach you the tools and practices to identify it and start to move it out of your body. And what's wild, if you've never done this, is that you will have some sort of release. It could be crying, which is pretty, like, at least what I would consider normal. A lot of crying that happens. So it could be crying. Crying is a beautiful release of energy, but it could also be some weird stuff. Like it could be laughing. It could also be like retching. It could be like you actually physically feel that old mucky energy like coming up and out of your body. For the record, I've never actually thrown up, but I have definitely had some like, oh my God, like this is thick. This needed to come out. But the more that you can proactively do that work, the more in control of your reality you become. Because until you surface up the stuff that's hidden underneath the surface, that stuff is running your life. That stuff is creating your reality. That's how we have those looping situations, because those wounds have energy. And the more that they stay in your body, the more that they start to attract more to them. So you're creating circumstances from the wound, and you're not even realizing that it's you. You're going, why does this keep happening to me? Why does this keep showing up? Why can't I get rid of this? And it's like, well, it's you. It's you, but it's the part of you that you've suppressed, ignored, tried to run away from. So the more we can proactively bring that to the surface, we can process that shit out in minutes. Minutes. It's all energy. And as we can move these things out, now granted, it might come in layers because like we said at the beginning, like we're not always ready for the whole shebang. But the more that you can move it out, even that 1 millimeter shift of that layer is going to make a phenomenal difference in your reality. So we be proactive with this. We allow, when we sit down to visualize, if there's something in the way, let it come up. Don't ignore it. Don't try to get away from it. Let it come up. Okay, what am I thinking right now? And the more that you can do that from that space of curiosity, the less identified you are with the wound. Does that make sense? Because if I'm curious about the wound, who is being curious? Me. And the wound is separate from me. Do you feel that? So if I'm curious about it, in those moments when it starts to pop up, I can be like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. My natural reaction is to just try to get out of this, but let me just let it come all the way up. Let me see what it has for me. And you will find gold in your wounds. It's so wild, but it's just the way that the mechanism is. Every wound that you have has gold in it that is going to unlock a new level of your power. And that's how you start getting excited to hit a wound. That's how you get excited about hitting something. So it's like anytime that I hit on something inside of me, like, yeah, it's uncomfortable and I don't like it, but I'm like, I get excited because I've found something that I can move now. This has been living inside my body. It doesn't go away if I just ignore it. We call that holding a spider and trying to run from it. It's inside of you. You can't run away from it. So you may as well bring it all the way up, because that's how you're going to start to create a different level of reality. This is where all of our control comes from. So let's think about this. If I proactively move the energy of the wounds up and out of my body, then I have less old shit, old wounds, karma, blah, 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 all that stuff. I have less of that actively creating my reality, which means my power to create my reality, my control, what I want to have is more at the front of the show. It's more running everything that I want to be doing. See what I mean? This is that process of awakening. It's like I've been operating in the wound for the majority of my life. Then I have this moment where I'm like, enough. We awaken, and then we go through the spiritual rebirth, which is like the shit for a while because everything's coming up and out and you feel heavy and you feel mucky, but you keep doing it. This is why I'm such a fan of education around this work. This is why the spiritual coach training program was created, because the more that you can understand what's happening and you have the tools to move it out of your body, the more in control you feel of yourself, your journey, and where you're going. When you're in the midst of muck, I mean, you know, if you've been there, it can feel pretty dark and hopeless if you don't know what's going on. It's hard even when you know what's going on, but if you don't know what's going on, I don't know how anybody gets through it without knowing what's going on. So if you know and you've got the toolbox, then you can proactively do this work. You can move through it so much faster rather than just like tumbling around in the muck and the void forever. And as you do that, you're going to step into more power, step into more power, step into more power until you get to that glorious, like, I know my power moment. And then you'll probably process more stuff. But you're going to keep doing this for the rest of your life. But what's cool is that it gets easier. Not because life got less challenging, it gets easier because you became more powerful. You stopped running from yourself and you started stepping into more of that soul identity who chose this journey, knows you can handle it, and runs it like a boss. Amen. Amen. That's a wrap. We're good. That was amazing. Thank you guys here or thank you guys for being here live. Those of you who jumped on. I love you guys so much. I don't have any big announcements other than we are doing more lives on Instagram now. So if we're not friends on Instagram, come over to @Marli Ansel on Instagram. We're going to be doing more live videos over there. And if you are interested in joining the spiritual coach training program, we're in pre-enrollment right now. Basically what that means is that if you sign up in pre-enrollment, you get an entire program as a bonus for free. So you can go to marliansel.com/programs and you will see the whole course library. You get to choose whatever you want as your bonus program so that you can go ahead and dive in. And during pre-enrollment, there is an extended payment plan. So if you're somebody who just loves a good payment plan, you can take advantage of that right now as well. This is the program to learn the energetics and the identity work of transformation so that you can coach your clients to lasting change. It is a phenomenal program. I'm so, so excited about it. It starts September 18th. And that's it. All right, my loves, I love you so much. The replay will be available in here. Rewatch it. I will probably put this on the podcast as well. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, it is the Lightworker Society. You can just search my name or search the Lightworker Society and hit subscribe. Leave me a review. Do all the things. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you when I see you. Bye, guys.